to the Magical Mystery School and Astrology Class 39. Yep, here we come. So we've kind of finished up with all the basics, and if you're just finding this channel, be sure and check out, there's a link for the playlist if you want to go back. All the classes are numbered. Go back to the beginning or anywhere you want to catch up on things. And there's a link at the end of this video, I think down in the description box, and if you go down to my icon, which I think is down here, you can find, go to my channel and find click the tab for playlist. But anyway, we've kind of covered the basics. I'm kind of finishing up with just a bunch of just odds and ends of different things, astrological subjects, because I want you guys to, be smart and be able to, understand what all these wonderful astrologers on YouTube are talking about. So today we're going to talk about electional astrology and relocation charts and astrocartography. So anyway, what the heck is electional astrology? Well, that's just basically about picking out a good time for an event, so it could be anything as simple as a party to something more complicated like a marriage, or when you buy a house, or something like that, or take a vacation or something like that. So what you do is you cast a chart for that event, the date, time, and place, and let me just first say, do not twist yourself up into pretzels about this. I mean, especially like a marriage date or something like that. You want to get married this particular summer, and you want to do it on a weekend, and you're going to have those kind of constraints. So try to do it, use your best astrology knowledge to get the best date you can. But just remember, nothing's perfect, and the universe does have something to say, so it may want to put you in some place where, give you some astrology chart maybe you're not that excited about. But anyway, so the first things you want to do is just, do the generals, the things we've kind of already been talking about, like, Mercury retrograde, maybe kind of look at those, because those do happen 3 times a year. So they're out there happening. And then Venus retrograde, it's about once a year. And, so that you might want to, planning for anything with Mercury retrograde, Venus retrograde, especially if you're going to be remodeling your house or things like that, you want to take that into consideration. Mars retrograde only happens once every 2 years, but so you do want to kind of keep your eye on that, but it can throw a wrench in things sometimes. So that darn Mars retrograde, at least I have found that for me anyway, personally. So do kind of, think about those big general things we've already kind of talked about. But when you actually do a election chart, you're going to the first thing you're going to look at is the ascendant and the ruler of that ascendant, and see where that's placed. And hopefully that's going to have some benevolent placement that's going to be good. Because remember, the ascendant represents you and how you're going to be in this event. The moon is also a good, important thing to look at, because it's going to show you more how you're going to feel about that particular event. So you want to look for those auspicious placements. Now again, remember from this guy, this shows all the rulerships, and I'll just hold that up if you want to take a screenshot. So Mars rules Aries, and Jupiter rules Sag, things like that. So those are the rulers. And another good thing to think about is, is that ruling planet, would it be in its exaltation? Now, we talked about that not that long ago, but just wanted to re-mention that again. Oh, and the reason I was showing you this book is this is about Nancy Reagan actually had a White House astrologer, and that astrologer that would, shows all her, how she was. This is back in the good old days, and how she would, Nancy would call her up and ask, well, she was more worried about protecting Ronnie, as she's referred to in the book. It's a fun read. Making sure he was safe. So she would, like when would he sign documents, diplomatic things, take off for trips, that sort of thing. She wanted to get all that kind of stuff figured out for him. So anyway, back to your election chart that you've picked out. So besides those exaltations and that kind of thing, also look to see if that ruling planet is on an angle, because that's going to give the chart just more power too. So that may be a good thing. And always look for where are those benefics, Venus and Jupiter, and the malefics, which are Mars and Saturn. I always want to throw Pluto in there too, but I won't. And do remember too, now I'm not sure if this totally falls under election astrology, but just even doing things like using the moon. Like I religiously use the moon to help me with my gardening. When I'm planting something in the ground, I want to do that when the moon is in an earth sign or a water sign to give it that best chance. And also if it's an annual, that it's okay if it dies in a year, but I'm just really looking for a lot of flowers and beauty. I'll use that moon in Libra, right, ruled by Venus. So I do that quite a bit, and also with buying things, just looking at the moon, because the moon is moving so fast. And again, don't twist yourself into pretzels over this, but when I'm buying something like a dishwasher or a car or something like that, I'm going to look for a moon in Capricorn, maybe a moon in Taurus, but I want something where that's not gonna break down, that's gonna be solid, that's gonna be worth my money, that kind of thing. So do start to integrate those, everything that you've thought about with your chart, how to kind of start to use the cycles and the planets and that sort of thing. Okay. Now, there's also a kind of chart called a horary chart. And I used to get when I first started studying astrology, I had a hard time, would get those mixed up. There's our clock. It's a quarter after. And horary charts are a chart that are cast for the time exactly when you ask the question to the astrologer. Because I know, like for myself, like if I have a question I'm wondering about, it's like, when did I first ask that question to myself? I don't know. Was it a month ago, 3 weeks ago? When did I start pondering this? But you want to go for the exact time when you ask the question to the astrologer, and then she can do the chart. And what's great with computers is, I look over here at my computer, we can do that now, easy schmeezy. Okay. The next kind of chart I want to talk about is a relocation chart. Now, that's really interesting to use for when you're thinking about moving or going on a vacation. Where do you want to go to college? Things like that. So what a relocation chart is, you cast the chart just like you would your normal natal chart, but you'll put the location of the new place you're thinking about going. Or if you've already, if you're finding out about astrology and you've already moved somewhere, you can go ahead and cast a chart for that location. And what it's going to give you is another layer of information about the place that you're living in. Now the planets are going to be basically at the same degrees and stuff, because your date of birth obviously is going to be the same. But if you're going from, say you were born in Boston and you're looking at maybe moving to San Francisco, that physical placement is going to change the ascendants and the house cusps and the midheaven and that kind of thing. So that's really where you're going to see the biggest changes. So it's like the wheels move, the wheel moves basically. But don't throw out your natal chart, because I've even kind of done my own little research on this, and I've lived longer here in Colorado than I have where I was born. But that natal chart is still boom, boom. You know, I get the ass transits and they're right on the money. Whereas the relocation chart, yeah, it's a little earlier for me. So that time, it kind of gives me some warning basically when I have a transit coming up. Now, like for me personally, I was already living here when I found out about astrology, and happily enough, moving here to Colorado, basically the main thing it did to my chart was it moved Venus up almost on my midheaven. So that's kind of was a nice thing, and I've loved it here. It's really been my my home of choice, I should say. Now, you may not want to print out a million billion charts, you know, and you want to figure out, well, how can I kind of see what's going on, you know, without having to look at 50 different charts and that sort of thing. Well, there's this thing called astrocartography. And there you can see it written down there. And this, I've had this probably for, I can't tell you, I'm embarrassed to say maybe getting towards not totally 40 years, but getting close. Anyway, as you can see, so there's a map of the world, and it's showing at your time of birth all across the planet, where if you went to different places, how your ascendant, how your angles are going to move basically. It's also showing the planets too. But the most important, I think, are those angles. So as you can see, if I can see this right. So that's Venus on the midheaven for me. As you can see, it's going right smack down the middle of the United States. So probably really one of the luckiest places for me to live would be like Omaha, Nebraska. But, well, I'm here. I'm close in Colorado, so not too bad. Some of the places like Pluto on my descendant is like going through Moscow, so don't worry, I'm not going to go to Russia, especially these days. Oh my goodness. This is a great thing to get kind of a general overview. You can kind of look through this, and it's also got these little spots here that show, ooh, is that in focus? Maybe. Okay, well, it's not getting in focus very good. So anyway, and like Easter Island would have been like a really super place, and actually that's on my list of places I want to go someday. But it can kind of, you know, especially if you're planning trips, or, you know, you can kind of look at this and kind of go, ugh, I better hang on to my wallet here, you know, or oh, this is going to be just party town for me. So anyway, I wanted to point those out because those are really helpful and real interesting too to use. So I think that's all I'll go over this time. And next time we're going to talk about relationships, like chart synastry and composite charts and things like that. So anyway, thank you very much for coming. Remember to like and subscribe. And just remember, from there to here. From here to there. Funny things are everywhere. Okay, guys, love ya. And keep that light shining in your heart. Bye-bye.